Holy shit. He said what?
I think our character, who we are at your core, I don't think that shifts.
That's why a lot of these celebrities that start these things, they can't keep up. You know, like the Meghan Markles.
How do you sell a dream when the price tag is built on deception? What happens when one of the world's most watched podcasters decides to pull back the curtain on a duchess's carefully crafted business fairy tale?
I think a lot of behaviors and habits and roles that you end up playing in your life can bring out the best or worst in a lot of people, but you're still who you are.
Like, guys, you don't got to do this. Please, I'm begging you to stop.
I'm a little bit vintage in many ways because I'm from a time capsule of handwritten notes. You have to imagine Siri's not on my phone. I don't have location service, things like that I'm not caught up in the day-to-day tech things that most people are. Imagine Siri's not on my phone. I don't have location services. Back on Instagram was a really big decision, but also it's just been joyful. I'm really intentional in using it as a platform to share joy and to have fun.
Can a single comedic takedown from Joe Rogan completely destroy years of royal rebranding? And is Meghan Markle's entrepreneurial empire crumbling faster than anyone could have predicted?
You just can't keep faking it. It's too hard.
Actually get a drink in peace?
Yes.
Yeah.
We go out a lot. And I love it a lot in our community, in Montecito and in Santa Barbara.
I didn't think this interview could get any worse, but it sure did.
Wasn't there some speculation that she was on Epstein's yacht at one point in time? There was like photos with her and Prince Andrew way back in the day when she was like in her early 20s.
The internet is absolutely on fire right now, and what we're about to reveal will shock you to your core. Whispers from inside Hollywood suggest that Rogan didn't just roast Meghan, he exposed contradictions so glaring that even her biggest supporters are starting to question everything they thought they knew about her business ventures. The unraveling began with what seemed like an innocent interview question about her daily routine, but Meghan's response became the thread that, when pulled, started to destroy her entire narrative.
When you sell out that quickly, it's a double-edged sword because it's an incredible thing to happen.
Dude, you're selling like 10 jars of jam. You will not show the figures. They even admitted it. Bloomberg's. We don't know what her figures are, but she's sold out. Yeah, because you're doing this fake sellout where you sell 10, 20 products and then, ooh, we're sold out.
The second seasonal drop and 10x our inventory and thought.
So she went from a 10 to 100, allegedly.
For sure, that would.
They're not going to buy 100 of these dumb jams. Dude, I bet you bought them yourself.
These last for a couple weeks. That sold out in a couple hours. And suddenly the conversation goes from at the start of this year talking about a few thousand jars and lids to we need to do a purchase order of 1 million.
She painted herself as overwhelmed, lamenting how she's far too busy to churn her own butter like some domestic goddess. The audience sympathized with this modern working mother's struggle. Yet moments later, she proudly detailed her meticulous process of artfully arranging food on her children's plates, describing elaborate presentations that would make professional chefs jealous. Industry insiders are whispering that this contradiction was impossible to ignore. You simply cannot claim to be too swamped for basic tasks while simultaneously having unlimited time for Pinterest-worthy meal presentations. This inconsistency left viewers wondering, were they watching an authentic person or a perfectly rehearsed performance designed to manipulate their emotions?
And it seems like that lady is a temptress. She's a siren. She's lured him into the rocks.
But I'm really unapologetic about the fact that though would it be lovely to go and churn your own butter? Sure, maybe. I don't have time for that.
You literally waste time in your garden all the time to get flour sprinkles, so you say. How do you have time for any of this?
I don't have time for that. I'm great at ordering takeout and plating it beautifully. And look, and yes, do I have small things where even on my kids' plates, I wipe the side of the plate? Someone might go, oh my gosh, that's so ridiculous. For me, that's 2 seconds where I get to present something that looks a little bit more beautiful.
I cannot imagine having a meal with Meghan Markle or trying to cook, and she's literally cleaning, changing the order on the plates to make. No one cares. I just want to eat.
Then came the moment that reportedly made Joe Rogan and countless business experts lose their minds. When asked about her brand's debut product's success, Meghan described the sellout as a double-edged sword because her team supposedly couldn't gather proper metrics from such rapid sales. Sources in the entrepreneurial community are calling this statement absolutely ridiculous. Any business owner knows that when products sell out completely, you have the ultimate metric. Total units sold, revenue generated, and customer demand proven.
So in less than an hour?
44 minutes. I was shocked.
How do you keep up with demand?
When you sell out that quickly, it's a double-edged sword because it's an incredible thing to happen for any small business and any startup. And at the same time, you don't get the same metrics and learnings about which SKUs and products are the most coveted because it's all gone immediately.
The question was, how do you keep up with demand? This is not the answer to that question. She's telling a little story. A whole lot of snapping of the fingers and things being gone immediately and that kind of thing.
The most coveted because it's all gone immediately.
From 2011 to 2017, I was the entrepreneur in residence at the Nashville Entrepreneur Center. And I helped startups and new CEOs get funding for their companies. I taught them how to pitch, how to get their body language happening so they could be trusted when they're pitching and asking for money. So before I helped them, I'd have to look at their business and make sure everything they said was going to happen was going to happen. I had to make sure everything they were saying was true. And when I heard stuff like this, I wasn't into it. I said,
Critics are suggesting this response felt like carefully crafted corporate speak designed to sound successful without providing a single concrete number. The whispers are getting louder that this wasn't authentic business insight, but rather a performance for an audience that was just beginning to see through the facade. What real entrepreneur complains about selling everything they produce? But the alleged fabrications were just getting started, and this is where things become truly explosive.
Yes, absolutely.
How long does it take to develop each product? What's that process like?
Oh, goodness. I'm exasperated in some ways by that only because it is such a tedious proposition to scale your own home recipe.
It's not your home recipe. Don't keep trying to claim that it is.
To something at mass and maintain the same, not just quality, but the same flavor that you're able to do at home. And I think any home cook would say that. If you say, great, can you make your cobbler that I love? I say, great, of course I can make my cobbler. Great, can you make 1 million cobblers? Can you teach someone how to make 1 million cobblers that taste just like the one that you have at home?
I love how she's like introducing like it's the first time anyone's ever done this. Like, girl, so many people do this. It's like, yeah, go hire a company who can do.
Meghan made bold claims about the supposedly exhausting process of scaling up her home recipe for mass production. She painted herself as a struggling entrepreneur, overwhelmed by the transition from kitchen to commercial manufacturing. However, food industry experts are quietly pointing out that her discussion completely lacked the technical details any real founder would possess. There was no mention of co-packers, shelf life testing, FDA compliance, or any of the complex realities of industrial food production. Instead, she offered a romanticized fairy tale about kitchen struggle.
Your cobbler that I love. I said, great, of course I can make my cobbler. Great, can you make 1 million cobblers? Can you teach someone how to make 1 million cobblers that taste just like the one that you have at home?
that's not the way.
This raised the most dangerous question of all. Is Meghan truly the mastermind behind this brand, or is she simply the polished, famous face of a much larger company's marketing campaign? The truth, according to some industry whispers, might be far more brutal than the story she's trying to sell. Perhaps the most tone-deaf moment came when Meghan attempted to connect with everyday Americans through a high school memory. She recalled saving money from an after-school job to buy an expensive rhinestone logo shirt, claiming this experience inspired her to make jam affordable for her younger self. The problem? Her jam costs approximately $9 per jar. Financial experts are pointing out that for most teenagers working part-time jobs, $9 represents significant spending power, hardly an impulse purchase. Social media users are calling this story a flimsy attempt to appear relatable that instead exposed how completely out of touch she is with typical American financial realities. The backlash was swift and brutal. Critics suggest this wasn't just poor messaging, but revealed a fundamental disconnect between Meghan's perception of affordability and the reality most people face. When you're trying to build authentic connections, this kind of miscalculation can be absolutely devastating to your credibility. Then came what social media is calling the most bizarre revelation of all, her jar repurposing suggestion. After finishing the jam, Meghan proposed using the container as a decorative vase or pen holder. Critics are asking, what kind of product developer tells customers how to handle their trash? This isn't innovative thinking, it's transparent brand extension. Marketing professionals are whispering that this reveals the real strategy, creating branded totems that keep her name visible in customers' homes long after the product disappears. The goal isn't selling quality jam, it's monetizing her celebrity status through everyday objects. This makes people question everything about the product's actual quality and purpose. Is the jam genuinely good? Or is this entire venture simply about transforming her fame into physical merchandise? The implications of this marketing approach are more cynical than most consumers realize, and the internet is starting to connect these very uncomfortable dots. This brings us to the greatest irony in Meghan's entire brand strategy. Throughout multiple interviews, she repeatedly emphasized her commitment to authenticity as her company's core differentiator. She claimed, with complete seriousness, that authentic values set her products apart from competitors. But marketing experts are pointing out a devastating contradiction. When you call carefully curated presentations authentic, sophisticated audiences immediately recognize the difference. This appears to be a cynical strategy designed to sell an image of being real to consumers exhausted by fake celebrity perfection. The problem is that when you build your entire brand on authenticity, while everything you do feels calculated and staged, you destroy the very trust you're desperately trying to establish. Without genuine consumer trust, what foundation does any celebrity business actually have? Industry whispers suggest this authenticity paradox represents the core crisis now threatening her entire venture. So we're witnessing the complete collapse of a carefully constructed narrative, and the implications extend far beyond one interview. When business metrics remain mysteriously vague, when recipes might not be original, and when affordability stories feel fabricated, what remains genuinely real? The devastating problem for Meghan isn't just online jokes or memes, it's the fundamental loss of public trust. Once consumers sense that a celebrity's story doesn't add up, every subsequent headline, social media post, and marketing campaign becomes suspect. The public stops believing the official narrative, and the internet's collective skepticism takes control. What fills that credibility vacuum isn't sympathy or understanding, it's the darkest rumors and conspiracy theories people become willing to believe. A new bombshell revelation is reportedly emerging that has absolutely nothing to do with this particular interview, and sources suggest it could be far more damaging than anything we've discussed so far. What fills that trust vacuum isn't forgiveness. It's the kind of brutal public ridicule that no amount of money can purchase back. Rumors circulated about a supposed war room in England where royal family members planned their messaging responses and damage control strategies. While this remains unconfirmed, it demonstrates how quickly speculation becomes accepted narrative when credibility erodes. The question isn't what critics are saying about them, but what advisors might be telling them behind closed doors. Are they receiving honest counsel or just hearing what they want to believe? Industry sources suggest Meghan has another major interview scheduled, and whispers indicate she might finally address these mounting contradictions directly. But what could she possibly reveal that would restore her damaged credibility? When Joe Rogan and other influential commentators decide to publicly dissect your business claims, the cultural impact hits harder than any traditional media coverage ever could. The brutal reality is that Harry and Meghan now face a completely transformed public perception. Their carefully crafted royal redemption story has lost its audience. The animated parodies, viral memes, and late-night television jokes all signal the same devastating shift. They've gone from being respected symbols of modern royalty to becoming props in comedy sketches. But here's the most important question. Is there any possible path back from this level of public ridicule? What happens when your name becomes simultaneously a punchline and the subject of serious business criticism? They're standing in the wreckage of their fairy tale, watching it become a public spectacle. The final joke isn't on Joe Rogan, other comedians, or even the traditional royal family. The joke is on them. It's the kind of brutal social reality that money simply cannot fix. When you completely lose control of your public story, you lose everything that matters in the celebrity economy. But if the business metrics are questionable, the recipes might not be original, and the affordability narrative feels fabricated. Then what is actually real? This leads us to our final, most explosive question that demands its own investigation. What if this entire entrepreneurial foundation, from origin story to core values, is built on one massive deception. What if it's all performance art designed to manipulate public emotions? And could everything trace back to a single shocking event from Meghan's past that absolutely no one is discussing publicly? We're talking about a secret that could unravel not just her business empire, but her entire public persona. The truth is coming, and it's more devastating than anyone imagined.